This is a tutorial on how to use the F-22 Raptor that comes with P3D. It's a very interesting aircraft. It has a lot of fancy systems. It's not quite as easy to use as default aircraft flight simulator, so I'll show you how to do it. One thing you'll notice is that many of the features are available only by clicking in the virtual cockpit, such as setting the parking brakes. You can't use that using the regular keyboard commands. Assuming the aircraft is cold and dark, what you want to do first, on the right hand side, click battery. And then on the left, APU, put it to the start position. Then come here to the main screen, click on Systems, and Rapid Start. You'll see that the cockpit closes, and the engines fire up. Once the engines are running, you can take the main display here and set it to the moving map. So what you want to do for that, if you're at this main screen, you'll click on Configure, click on MMD for moving map display, and then you set what you want to see. So in this case, let's see airports, VORs, and topography. So we set those. We're also going to see it as a rows. So we click back, menu, to bring us back to the main screen, moving map display, and there we can now see this map. On the moving map display, you can zoom in and out using the range buttons. There are only a couple of different ranges available. You can have it set to 200, 80, 40, 20, or 10. Let's take off by giving it full thrust. Now once you're airborne, you want to reduce the throttle very quickly, because if you keep running full steam, you'll run out of gas in about 5 minutes or so. So once you're up, you can switch to Autopilot. Now the Autopilot is all on your main panel here. And there are two main buttons which you'll see which help you out. One is AP and one's Mark. So we're going to click on AP. That brings you up all your Autopilot settings. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on one of them. In this case, click on altitude control. You can see there's an altitude setting and the altitude mode is off. So the first thing you need to do is turn that mode on. And then you can click the left-hand button here next to the setting for altitude, and you type in the desired altitude. Let's say 30,000 feet. You press Mark, and it sets that altitude, and you can see your plane is climbing up to 30,000 feet. Now, plane is going very slow, so let's go to speed control. Same thing, we set speed on. You press the button. We type in the amount we want. And it sets it to 250. That's the speed your aircraft will fly and hold. Next, you want to decide which way you want the aircraft to go. So you click on heading, activate the heading control, which is going to, again, capture the current heading. And then you press the left pen button. You type in the heading you want. So in this case, we'll say 150 degrees. And click on Mark. So it sets 150 degrees. And you'll see that the aircraft starts to turn towards that heading. Once you're up and flying, you might want to capture a VOR so you can follow it into destination. To do that is very easy. You click on Nav, and then you set your radios here the same way you were doing before. Click on the button next to Nav 1. Click on the new page until it gets frequency adjust. And you press the left-hand button. Now in this case, I'm close to LAX, and the LAX VOR is 113.6. Well, you can see I've made a mistake there, so if you want to erase that, you just hit clear, and that takes everything out. 113.6. You press Mark, and you can see now that it is identifying the LAX VOR. The range is 140 DME. So you can come down here and you use the course buttons to center the VOR. In this case, it already picked it up. You have nav engaged. You'll see that there are the various displays around the cockpit which give you different information. If you go to the one on the right, it's essentially just giving you the same information as your heads-up display. If you go to the one on your left, it will give you your UHF, which is your comm frequency, and if you press UHF, it switches from COM 1 to COM 2. Your VHF, which is your navigation frequency, and if you press VHF, it'll switch from nav 1 to nav 2. Also, it gives you your local time. You can set that to Zulu time. And another feature it says here is your autopilot status. Autopilot is on. If you wanted to switch your autopilot off rapidly, you can just click on the AP button. It brings you back to the main AP screen. If you click it a second time, it'll turn the autopilot off. The left, right, and lower displays are all the same. They're just set to different things by default. So what you can do is you can click on menu, and that gives you all the possibilities. So you can set it to the ADI, then you click on menu again, it takes you back here, and you can choose whichever ones you want, including fuel, engine status, systems, etc. So now we're approaching LAX. As you can see, we're only 77 miles out. So we'll go to main AP screen, speed control. Speed is already set to 250, so we're going to click the left-hand button and slow down to 150 knots. And then we're going to click on the altitude control, select a new altitude of 1500 feet, mark. As you get closer to the airport, you might want to follow the ILS in. So to do that, first you'll go to your nav 1 setting, go down 2 pages to frequency adjust. In this case, I know that the ILS setting is 10990. So I set that, I press mark, and you can see the ILS here on the display. Then we go over to our autopilot, we click on approach. You can see they're both set to off right now. So if you activate the approach control, it's engaged, and right away, in this case, it's picked up the ILS. Now there is a problem with this aircraft. It doesn't do a very good job of following the glide slope. What it'll tend to do is it'll end up a little bit lower than you should be, which means it'll often end up crashing. So once you've captured the glide slope using the autopilot, your best bet is to turn it off and just fly the approach manually. Another thing you can do is if you have a flight plan already loaded, you can get the aircraft to follow the flight plan. To do that, you go to your main autopilot screen, you go to the heading control. Down here it shows your source as nav. You want to switch it to MC, which is basically the same as switching between nav and GPS and other flight sim aircraft. Then once it's set, then you click nav on, and you'll see that it captures the flight plan.